Welcome to part 3 of my factory farming activist speech. I'm reading from an essay that I wrote for my science class, and ever since then, I've truly taken this issue to heart. It is so close to home. It affects all of us, even if we don't realize it. Some people go for global warming or recycling, but I am factory farming because it is just it's just not known about, and it just bugs me that people don't know about this because it's so terrible. So anyway, I am continuing from the slaughterhouse scene. If you're a queasy, this is so not for you. It's very graphic, and if you're an animal lover like I am, you really don't want to hear this, but maybe you do, and maybe you want to help stop it, which is my hope. So, here we go. The cattle, or other animals, but we're going to use cattle as an example. I'm sorry, I have a dry throat. Enter at the top of the slaughterhouses, greeted by the knocker. Cattle walk towards him through a small chute and stop facing him. He shoots them in the head with a captive bolt stunner, a compressed air gun attached to the ceiling by a long hose. Fast Food Nation, page 171. This should knock the cattle unconscious. Once they're shot, a man shackles their back legs to an overhanging hook. From there, they will continue down the line to be cut and sliced. However, the initial stunning of the soon-to-be slaughtered cattle is terribly inaccurate. In April 2001, a Washington Post article read that the cattle were supposed to be dead before they got to Moreno, a sticker. A sticker is the man who severs the carotid artery. They must hit the exact spot to kill the animal humanely. But too often they weren't. On bad days, he says, dozens of cattle reach his station clearly alive and conscious. Sometimes they would survive as far as the tail cutter, the belly ripper, the hide puller. They die, Moreno says, piece by piece. This is horrifying and inhumane. My personal belief is that this is happening because of increased line speeds, which are responsible for most of the diseases in our meat. E. coli 0157H7 is one of the scariest bacteria out there. It's a mutated version of E. coli, which helps us digest our food, vitamins, and guard against unwelcome organisms. However, E. coli 0157H7 contains and releases a powerful barotoxin, or shikatoxin, that attacks the intestinal lining. In average cases, it causes pains in the abdomen, followed by diarrhea, first watery, then bloody. This can go away in about a week, or can... I'm so sorry, and if I am talking too fast for you, I'm so sorry. I've had a problem with talking fast ever since I was little. All my teachers hate me for it. Okay, anyway. This can go on for about a week or progress into vomiting and mild fever. E. coli 0157H7 is usually spread in slaughterhouses because of the fast production lines. Although slaughterhouses have technology available for them in many jobs, stomachs and intestines are still pulled out by hand. This is a difficult job because if it's not done properly, the intestines will spill all over the table and meat. A former IBP slaughterhouse gutter told me that it took him 6 months to learn how to pull out the stomach and tie off the intestines without spillage. At best, he could have got 200 consecutive cattle without spilling anything. Inexperienced gutters spill manure far more often. At the IBP slaughterhouse in Lexington, Nebraska, the hourly spillage at the gut table has run as high as 20%, with stomach contents spattering 1 out of 5 carcasses. Fast Food Nation, page 203. Another way E. coli 0157H7 is spread is when the cow hides are removed. This is done by a machine, and if it isn't cleaned well enough, manure and dirt may fall from it right onto the meat. This is scary, and if spillages and carelessness continue like this, we could have huge outbreaks and many deaths. Excuse me. However, the animals are not the only ones getting mistreated in this cruel practice. Workers are suffering as well. One sec, let me check my time. 4 minutes, please. Check it. 4 minutes. Okay, so I can phone it. Oh yeah, I can finish this paragraph. Okay. However, animals are not the only ones getting mistreated in this cruel practice. Workers are suffering as well. Workers that look after animals in the CAFO can suffer injuries. I'm so sorry. injuries such as acute and chronic lung disease, musculoskeletal injuries, and they can contract infections from animals. Workers in a slaughterhouse can suffer injuries such as deep stab wounds, tendinitis, carpal tunnel syndrome, cumulative trauma disorders, trigger finger, an ailment in which the finger gets frozen in a curled position, back problems, shoulder problems, and many more. Meatpacking is now the most dangerous job in the U.S., and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Nothing much has changed since Upton Sinclair wrote the epic book, The Jungle, in terms of cleanliness in slaughterhouses and labor unions. Upton Sinclair wrote The Jungle in 1906. Sterilizers in slaughterhouses sometimes never work, usually at fault of the workers, because they cook scraps of meat in their sterilizers for snacks, which renders them useless. Scraps of meat fall on the floor. When scraps of meat fall on the floor, they are usually retrieved and returned to the belt for packaging. Labor unions used to be strong and used to be able to help these workers fight for their rights, like proper payment and working conditions. Presently, if there are labor unions, they're poorly operated. These workers need help. I'm going to finish off with, just like the rest of the stuff in my last video, part 4. Keep an eye out, please.